Welcome to MacGyver's Workshop, where you never know what we're going to be working on next. If you're not too careful, you just might learn something.
Hi there. Welcome back to another episode of MacGyver's Workshop, where you never know what we're going to be working on next, and if you're not too careful, you just might learn something. So this is going to be part 2 of our voyage into repairing a friend of mine's boat. And right now we're waiting on the new exhaust manifold to come in. We had to order it, and in the meantime though, we got to get this nasty oil out of this crankcase and get some fresh oil in there. Now obviously we can't run the motor, but we can suck all the oil out of it, the nasty oil, and put some fresh in there and pull all the plugs out and crank the motor over and let it circulate some fresh oil through there to help maybe prevent any rust from happening inside the motor. So let's see what happens. Now, boats don't typically have a means of draining the oil out of the crankcase. So the best way that I can see at the moment, since I don't have enough room really to get under there with a pan or anything, and even if I did I couldn't get it out, we're going to use one of these, which is basically a little suction pump that'll go down through the dipstick tube there and just literally suck the oil out of the crankcase and put it in this here barrel. So we will let's get it all set up, and I'll show you how it works. Basically, you got a relatively thin tubing right here that hopefully will fit down that hole, and that the dipstick goes in, and we'll reach down in that crankcase there and we can suck all that oil out. Now normally they say for you to run the motor a bit to warm the oil up, but we can't obviously do that right now because the oil's got a bunch of water mixed in with it. So we're just going to have to deal with it. It's going to take a little longer to pump the oil out because it's going to be real thick, but that's okay. We'll just have to deal with that. Now what we'll do is we'll take our tube. I'll try to do this and hold the camera at the same time. We'll stick it down in there in the crankcase and run it down through until we feel it's hit bottom. And we want to suck as much of that oil out of there as we can, and then we'll plug this into the pump, and it's just kind of a locking kind of fitting there. Alright, there we go. And you see all that milky white oil. Nasty. Now you can see it, we're starting to build up there in the bottom of the bucket. Alright, so she's on hooked up and pumping away. It's going to take a while because that oil's, cold and thick. So we'll just let her go with that. And of course I guess we can go ahead and pull our oil filter off here. Oh, that's on there nice and tight. Let me get my wrench here. We get set up with a bucket underneath it to catch all the drippings. Alright, I got me like a little, Tupperware or some kind of plasticware shallow bin or container under there to try and catch any of the oil that's going to run off of here. I'm just kind of funny. I don't like letting the oil get down into the bilge, because on this boat here, when it's fiberglass, I can only think that it'll eat that fiberglass up. So we'll get on here and break that filter loose. Boy, they got that on there tight. And we'll get that off of there. Man, look at that. That's a major milkshake there, buddy. Ugh, yuck. Let me get this in the other bucket here. Alright, so got that in there. Boy, that's nasty looking. You see all that nasty mess there. I'm just going to let it go ahead and dribble however it's going to dribble, and I'll wipe down some of what I can here and get that cleaned out as best we can. And of course, like I say, there's still going to be plenty more running down in there, but that's okay too. So then once it's all done, we'll wipe everything down and clean it up real good. Alright, so we're going to go through this a couple, 3 times, because it's going to take probably 3, maybe 4 oil changes once we get this manifold fixed to get all this water flushed out of the oil. So we're going to put another filter on here. Just a little cheapy Fram, because it's only probably going to run for about 10 or 15 minutes before it gets pulled off again. And then we do our final oil change. We'll put our good oil in there and a good oil filter. You know, I should say that back in the day, Fram was like one of the best oil filters you can buy, but anymore it's just it's like Magnavox. It's just a brand that, you know, they're cheap. You look online and on other channels in YouTube, you'll see where other YouTubers have cut these things open, and you can just see how cheaply they're made now. So, you know, when it comes to an oil filter, you do get what you pay for. So, but in this case here, you know, we're just going to be running it for 15-20 minutes to warm the motor up and circulate the oil and let it run through there and pick up any residual water that's left in the oil. And you know, that's all we're going to need it for. So that'll be fine for that. No sense in spending $10 or $15 for a good filter. So anyway, that's going to be probably it for now until this thing finishes pumping this oil out of here, which is probably going to take a while. So we're going to put our battery charger on here to keep that battery up, because I'm sure this pump's going to I'm guessing it's going to take probably a couple hours to pump that thick oil out of there. And it's seriously like a milkshake. It's so nasty and thick. So anyway, stay tuned. Alright, so they say we might have a good chance of some thunder showers today, so I went ahead and backed the boat into the shop here and went ahead and hooked my battery charger up on it. I got it going at a low and slow, leisurely 10 amps. Pump draws 2, so that'll keep the battery topped off while it's doing its thing. Alright, well, that's it for our part 2 of our little mini episode here. And stay tuned. Once our manifold arrives, I'm expecting middle of late next week we should get it, and we'll put it on there, hook some water up to it, and let's see what we can do and get it running and get all that water flushed out of the crankcase, and my friend will be ready to take it out on the water and try it. But of course we'll go through it and check all the usual stuff, do some safety checks on it, you know, bilge pump, bilge vents, and make sure everything works right, and tune the motor up real good and all. And that way, hopefully, when he goes and takes it out on the lake to test it, it's a pleasure cruise and not a nightmare. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned until next time.